This year has been a crowded one for religiously themed cinema, whether it was adaptations of stories from the Bible or modern day inspirational dramas. Studios seem to be under the impression that God's going to provide the greenbacks. And in some cases, it's worked when you look at the box office run of Noah so far. However, there's also been a case of films that do really well within the first week of their run. I mean, you have churches renting out whole theaters to showcase some of these movies. But then after that first week, it just drops out of the top 10 like a rock. That was the case with Son of God. So which category does Heaven is for Real fall under? I can't say, but the prospects for this film are not looking too good. There were three things that came to mind while I was watching this film. Firstly, the overall message, while harmless, is a bit muddled. It felt like they were trying to make this film appeal to everybody. It just feels very safe. Secondly, this film also really feels like a TV movie, just with the way it's shot, the way it's paced, the way it's edited, and the beginning of this film is really slow. It takes a long time for the actual inciting incident to happen, like a good 20 to 30 minutes, which just isn't really good filmmaking. But that sort of pacing usually works for a TV movie where you actually have commercial breaks, but as an uninterrupted feature, it drags on after a while. Lastly, the trailers for this film kind of give it the wrong impression, because when I saw the trailers for this film on the various YouTube ads, it made the film look like something that was going to be akin to The Ghost Whisperer, and a story dealing with kind of the comforting, the living, and just kind of the whole comfort of life after death, that sort of thing. But that really isn't the case, since the story is more about Greg Kinnear's character and basically a man trying to make sense of something that is just really weird and really out there that he's not even sure really believes happened, even though he's a man of the cloth. And that's what the story really is about, and so it actually is okay. The only major problems I had with the film is that they actually decided to show heaven. And I can understand the rationale. Yeah, film is a visual medium, you kind of want to show what he's describing. If they didn't show heaven and kept a lot of that ambiguous and letting only what the character of Colton saw be all we really hear about it, it would have made it easier to relate to Greg Kinnear's character and just relate to the overall skepticism of the townspeople, making the overall message of faith a lot stronger. But I don't know. It was just a minor thing that if they just took out the shots with the angels, Colton talking with Jesus, him actually meeting the unborn sister, and again, this was all stuff they talked about in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler, but if they didn't actually show that and just the kid's words were all we had to go off of, much like real life, it just would have made the story stronger as a whole. All in all, this film isn't bad, but it's not too memorable. It doesn't really carry a lot of staying power. The safe execution is probably its weakest point. I mean, the story itself could have been interesting, it's just the director needed to have a more clear approach to what he was trying to tell. I mean, it just felt like one of those films where like, oh, I've got to please the suits, I've got to please the religious community, I've just got to please everybody to try to get the story out to as many people as possible. And really, that just didn't really do the film much justice. It didn't. So as a film, it's not really worth seeing in theaters. You're probably better off watching it on Netflix, just out of mild curiosity, not even really watching it intently, but more as like a casual viewing. This is probably one of those films that will probably do really well if you're just flipping through TV one day, just on an afternoon where it's the weekend, you're not really doing anything, and it just happens to come on, and it's just like, oh, this is interesting, I'll watch for a while. This is definitely one of those films that you don't really watch intently to try to get much message out of it, but probably just something you would put on as background noise. That said, I give Heaven is for Real a 3 out of 5. So that's it for this episode of Romney's Reviews. I don't know what I'm reviewing up next. Things are kind of up in the air since I'm also doing a shooting this far in advance because I can't release it until the day out because of the embargo I had to sign. Even though I'm not really sure why they called it an embargo since it's more of an NDA, but either ways, I'll just say I'll see you next time.